Welcome to the Change Services, how to create the Change Services Action Training module of the FAS Catalog Platform or FCP. In this module, we will discuss what is the Change Services Action, how to create an applicable modification in eMod, how to create the Change Services Action in FCP. What is the Change Services Action? The FCP Change Services Catalog Action allows the vendor to update an existing services plus catalog to update their auto-published price list. During this action, the vendor adds their proposed changes to the FCP Services Plus file to submit for CSCO review. After the CSCO approves, the changes to the Services Plus offerings auto-publish to a price list in the Advantage environment, which includes GSA Advantage, eLibrary, and eBuy. How to create an applicable modification in eMod. In order to create the FCP Change Services Catalog Action, the vendor first needs to create an applicable modification in eMod. If the vendor does not first create an applicable eMod modification, then FCP returns a validation message indicating that one must be created. The vendor navigates to the contract in eMod. In the new eMod section, press the Select Contract button. The following modification types map to an FCP Change Services action. Add SIN, if the vendor is adding a new SIN to existing awarded offerings. Delete SIN, if the vendor is deleting a SIN from existing awarded offerings. Economic price adjustments, permanent price reductions, service descriptive change, and wage determination. Note: a service descriptive change modification can be combined with a revised terms and conditions modification if a vendor needs to publish a T&C change to GSA Advantage. For example, to update a price list as a result of negotiations during an option exercise. When creating a modification in eMod with both of these subtypes, a single eMod ID is created for use in the FCP. Vendors should coordinate these actions with their CSCO. In the Select Modification Types page, select the applicable modification type. Press the Submit Online button to create the modification. Make note of the eMod ID, as you will use this in FCP. How to create the Change Services Action in FCP. View the Upload Documents section in eMod and navigate to FCP by pressing the Go to FCP button for the Price Proposal Template document. FCP then opens in a new browser tab. If you are not already logged in to FCP, you will be prompted to enter your FAS ID login credentials. Once logged in, identify the applicable contract and press the Access Catalog button to navigate to your catalog. Press the Create New Action button. Select the Change Services Action type, which expands more information below. Select the eMod ID drop-down menu, which displays all eMod IDs applicable to the action type. If you did not start your applicable mod in eMod, you will not find an acceptable eMod ID in this dropdown. Select the modification created earlier and press the Continue button to create the FCP action. This concludes the How to Create a Change Services FCP Catalog Action video. To learn more, we recommend watching other videos in the FCP Services Vendor How to Video series. For help, contact the Vendor Support Center.